Hey guys, welcome back to Just Being a Mom, and today I am super excited because we are talking about Black Breastfeeding Week, and I'm going to share with you guys my breastfeeding journey, which I'm super excited about from start to finish and everything in between. But first guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications, only if you're cool, okay? And if you're not cool, just do it, just do it. But anyways, so Black Breastfeeding Week was started by 3 women, I think. But it was basically started to shed a light on the racial gap that is within breastfeeding and how Black women are less likely to breastfeed their babies. And why is that? A lot of reasons are because there are racial injustices in the healthcare system, especially when it comes to Black mothers and Black babies. We have a much higher death rate, and we have a lot less support, especially when it comes to breastfeeding. And they push in our communities formula a lot of the time. They're just like, oh, it's not working out for you. You can definitely use formula. And I don't want to say, you know, that formula is bad. Formula is great. I'm glad that formula exists, but we do need more support if you want to breastfeed. There definitely needs to be more support, especially for Black women that want to breastfeed. So I started my breastfeeding journey, obviously, when he was born. Stupid, I'm so dumb. But from the beginning, I always knew I was gonna breastfeed. I had a goal to make it until he was 3, so I was super excited about it. After I gave birth, I gave him like the colostrum. It's this little yellow stuff, and you push it. You have to like really work for it because your milk, sometimes it takes about 3 to 10 days to come in. So you're working like this little colostrum out. My milk came in on about the 3rd, 4th day. And I remember it just being so painful. Like my breasts just felt like rocks, like they looked and felt like rocks. They were hard, and I was trying to feed him, and but it was so painful. I was crying. I was like, Akeem, we need to go back to the hospital. I was trying like to do like the lettuce. They say put lettuce and then the milk just falls out, because I didn't want to pump, because I wanted my body to make just enough for the baby. And if you pump, your body, you'll keep like making this like excess amount of milk. So I called my midwife, and she's just like, don't pump. And I'm just like, but it hurts so bad. And she was just like, okay, pump for like 5 minutes, but that's it. Don't tell my midwife, but I pumped for like 40 minutes. It was so painful. I was just like, oh my God, just get this milk out. I could not, like, it was the worst. But ever since then, I had no problem with milk production. I know there's a lot of things for women who do have problems with milk production. There's mother's milk, there's like special lactation bars that help. But I know just by one meeting with the lactation consultants, I've heard moms like go from like 0 to 100 like with their breastfeeding. So I think it's definitely important. And that's another thing, lactation consultants aren't really prevalent in the Black community. You know, they're not as accessible in the Black community, and that's sad. So that's just another reason I think Black Breastfeeding Week is super important, to shed light on that too, to diversify the community of lactation consultants, making sure there's enough support for each and every mom. So once I started breastfeeding, I was just like on a roll. I had this pump, so I would pump in the mornings when I was at my most full, and I would empty out my boobs about halfway, so that when he woke up, I would still have enough left to feed him. And technically, I never needed to pump. I don't know why I even owned a pump, because I was with Elijah 24/7, so I never really needed to pump. But when Akeem and I would like go out on a date or something, or I would go out for a night. And so it was good that I had a pump. So I would just pump a couple bottles and we'd be good. But I was like trying to store up all this milk, and I was just like, but I'm not going anywhere. Like, where am I going? So there's like baby bottles that are brand new, nipples never used, never even opened, because he was with me 24/7. So just as long as he had me, he was good. So he was doing really great breastfeeding. I was really comfortable breastfeeding. At first, I was really modest about breastfeeding. Like, I wouldn't breastfeed at church, or like I wouldn't breastfeed around someone else's husband. And I was just like really shy about it. I didn't want people to see my boob. But eventually, as time went on, I realized that nothing is sexual about this. Like, I literally have given birth, I've given life to this person, and I'm feeding this person. You know, it would be the same as if I was giving my kid a snack, you know? These are his snacks. It just happens to be. So I started, like, my first place where I just like walked my boob out was at church. And I was just like, look, this is what it's gonna have to be. I did have a cover, but if it would fall off, I wasn't like trying to like fix it every 5 minutes. I was just like, look, is what it is. Like, God made us this way. Like, God made me to feed my baby this way. We're in the house of the Lord. This was his creation. This is what he wants. I'm feeding my baby. So, and then like at that point, like I was just like, I didn't care. I would take my breast out anywhere, anytime, any place. I've breastfed him in pools, at parties. Yes, swimming in pools, at parties, at church, in front of people's husbands, at Starbucks, at anywhere you think of. I've done it. On hikes, I've breastfed him at parks, you know, everywhere, on planes, trains, and automobiles. Okay. Just whenever he needed it, it was available. And I love the fact that I always had food. Like, now I'm like packing things, like, do I have enough snacks? Like, I loved it when I could just like pop them on, take a break, be on my phone, and just like go, you know? I remember in the beginning too, I had like a really bad crook in my neck from like just like staring at him like this, like breastfeeding. So that was annoying. I had to work that out. And so yeah, so in the beginning it was just like really fun, and I really enjoyed it. I was no longer modest. I was super excited to breastfeed in front of the world. And then I learned, you know, this only became legal like probably a year before I was doing this. And I was like, I couldn't imagine being arrested for feeding my child. Like, I think that that's crazy, but women were getting in trouble for feeding their babies in public. So yeah, but I was really happy to do so. I loved it. And then there was baby-led weaning. So I had to like slowly like wean him off. So I stopped first with the bedtime feeding because we were sleep training him and I didn't want him to just keep falling asleep at the nip. So we cut that one off first. And then we just like slowly started taking away, like then I took away like the snack time one. So the one between lunch and breakfast, and then the one between dinner and lunch and dinner. So I cut like the snacks out, and then I was only doing at breakfast and lunch. And then eventually as he got older, like I just took the morning one out, and I was working a lot more. I was working from home, so I was working a lot more. So he was already like up eating by the time that I finished working. And so then we were only at 1 feeding a day. So now I'm just feeding him. So now I'm just feeding him once a day. And so now we've just like cut back and like, yeah, it's just at 1 feeding a day. So nearing the end of my breastfeeding journey, I think Elijah was maybe 2 years and 4 months when I stopped, and it just got really uncomfortable. So you know how when you're breastfeeding, the oxytocin between you and your baby, you're so happy, you're in love. That was no longer, at this point, I'm feeding a toddler, a man child, and he's like kicking and punching and like moving all around, and like, he wouldn't really bite. He bit me a few times and I just like popped him. I just like, whoa, like, you know, not anything that really hurt him, but like shock him, like, hey, like, don't bite. But he would just get distracted so easy, and he would just be playing around, and I'm just like, this is not fun for me. I got to the point where I just like hated breastfeeding, and I had been sexually assaulted in the past. So when I would put him on my breast and he would start doing everything, I would feel like, I don't know if any of you've been sexually assaulted, but that first touch, like your heart drops and you're scared and you like sink into yourself and you're just like, what, like, so all those feelings from when I was sexually assaulted would come back when I would put him on the boob, and I'm like, wait, this is not how I'm supposed to feel. I'm definitely not supposed to feel like I'm being sexually assaulted. That's for sure. So I tried as long as I could, and I was just like, and I knew every time before I would get ready to feed him, I'd say like, oh my God, like I don't want to do it. Like I hate doing it. And by this time I was only feeding him like once a day, and that's to just go down for a nap. Like, not to say he didn't need it, but like he didn't need it to fall asleep. He does need my milk. He didn't necessarily need it to fall asleep, but I hated it. I hated doing it. I didn't want to do it. And in hindsight, I guess I could have like pumped, but at this point, I don't know where that pump is. Probably somewhere in the garage. I don't know. Like, I'm just like to at least give it to him. But I feel like I did great. And I feel like I did enough. And I'm happy. I want my body back, you know. I want, you know, just my freedom back. I don't want somebody, like I just wanted a break, you know. I just needed a break, and with everything, with me wanting to stop, the reasons that I did stop, just feeling super uncomfortable, it made it really easy to just give myself that break and just be like, Shelby, mentally, you can't keep doing this to yourself, because it's just like you're beating yourself up every day, you know. You don't have to feed him if you don't want to. He's fine. He's eating a lot of kale. I'll put that video below too. He's eating a lot of vegetables. He loves vegetables, so he's still getting nutrients. It's definitely not the same as breast milk, but I have to be satisfied with what I'm doing as a mom, and you do too. So don't ever feel bad or guilty about your breastfeeding journey. If you need to stop, you need to stop. I knew a mom that, you know, at some point, like whenever she would breastfeed, her body would just go into like this painful state, like of these aches and pains, and it would hurt for like hours after she would breastfeed, and then she'd get back to normal, and then once she'd breastfeed again, it'd be like that cycle all over again. So, you know, for a lot of moms, it's hard to stick with. So that's why I feel like a lot of moms need support. If you have a goal, try to meet it. If you don't feel bad about it. And don't let other people make you feel bad about it too. We're already shaming moms for feeding formula. And now we're shaming moms for not making it all the way to 3 years old. Like, you know, what is it? You know, like I said, and the premise of my podcast is to stop judging each other, be supportive of one another in all of our decisions as a mom, because what I'm doing is best for my baby and what you're doing is best for your baby, and we just need to keep doing all those things, you know, that are best for us and our family. And this was just the best choice for our family. I hate I had to stop, but I've never been happier. I'm so glad that baby doesn't breastfeed anymore. So, but I hope you got a lot out of this episode. Even if you're like struggling with your breastfeeding journey, or if you're like, okay, I really want to try it, you know, I'm really gonna make a conscious effort to do breastfeeding, do it, but do what works best for you. I preach this all the time. Do what works best for you and your family. Breast is best, but if it's just not working, try to get support before you decide like, hey, I'm just not gonna do it. So yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Again, thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. See you next time.